Ladies and gentlemen, hey, hi, how you doing? Welcome back to the channel. Thank you so much for stopping by. We have finally got some direct confirmations on some pretty major aiming updates coming to Battlefield 6. This includes a lot of updates for controller, for input feel, for responsiveness there. Also some updates to general aim across the board for controller, keyboard, and mouse, you name it. And when exactly we could be seeing these with the next major update coming for Battlefield 6, it would seem. So we've got quite a bit to break down here today, starting first with this original series of tweets from one of the devs here on Battlefield 6. Originally, this was posted saying there's no need for 25% less recoil on controller in Battlefield 6, and especially in REDSEC. If you didn't know, we just talked about this in our tips video the other day, but yes, controller does actually have less recoil on every gun than keyboard and mouse. There's a pretty noticeable difference on some weapons. This literally changes the feel of gunfights. I can feel when I'm against a controller, and definitely in mid-range. Devs also promised no rotation aim assist. What happened to that? And to this, we actually get a response from one of the devs here saying we are reverting back to the open beta aim assist settings here shortly. So if you played controller back during the beta, you liked the feel of that, but then you played it at launch here and you're like, something just feels off. I can't quite, pinpoint what it is, which seems to be the general consensus of a lot of controller players here. We know that Dead Zone is messed up and wonky, and we know we've got updates coming to fix that in the future as well. But in general, the input just feels weird, maybe a little bit delayed or clunky. There's not a fluidity to it. Going back to the open beta, it felt a little bit more smooth there, and so they are going back and reverting back to those open beta aim assist settings here, which might make aiming in general feel a little bit more smooth. This was also responded to. Silk says, I forgot how open beta differed. Was it more slowdown, no rotational? Does it still have that recoil reduction? And to this, he gets responded and says, far less stickiness. So it does not create that rotational persistence that's currently live. Consistent slowdown, but no ramp. Recoil reduction is a separate system from aim assist, but will be getting adjusted also once this new tech is online. So this confirms a couple of things. The heavy aim assist slowdown that's there, even though you can alter this in your settings and turn it down from like 100 to 70, sort of seems to be that sweet spot, so I'd recommend checking that out for the time being. But that heavy slowdown there that maybe causes your aim to feel a little bit muddy and maybe in some cases a little bit too sticky, preventing you from going from target A to target B quickly, that's going to be adjusted there. But then also eventually recoil reduction is going to be a system that gets some overhauls and some updates here too, potentially making the inputs a little bit more similar. So recoil on keyboard and mouse is a little bit closer to that on controller, and controller's not such a drastic difference with less recoil available. And this gets expanded on a little bit by a different dev here on Battlefield. So originally, X Factor Gaming posts this saying there will be no OP aim assist or rotational aim assist in Battlefield 6 like games like Warzone in Apex. And then DICE at launch, we put in rotational aim assist and some other OP stuff. And then they also say, now we're rolling it back. And to this, Julian Manilov, another dev, ends up responding and says, what Matt meant and probably should have said is that there is no snap to target on zoom aim assist in Battlefield 6. So it's similar to how it was back in Battlefield 4. That's what he calls rotational. So just different names for different systems here. There is rotational aim assist, since that's what aim assist does. It moves and it rotates your aim a little bit, but it's not like a one-to-one system of that in Call of Duty, for instance, where rotational is crazy overpowered and in some cases will almost start looking for you if you know how to cheese it correctly. Julian follows up and says, nothing really changed for launch besides tune-up related to assist fall-off related to target distance. Controller players' feedback since was that they liked the open beta tune assisting better at a distance, thus the upcoming revert to that. So the result is going to be nicer feeling assists for controller players. So a little bit more specific here on what will actually be changing in this upcoming update. And then of course, stacking in addition to this, a change and potentially a major overhaul to that recoil system as well, differing from input to input. Like I said, we will discuss about when exactly this is all expected, and we have some more details to break down for other aiming updates coming. But when this stuff does actually go live, when we see more responses and confirmations, actual patch notes on this stuff, if you guys want to stay in the know for all of that so you never miss a thing, this is the place to be. So feel free to hit that subscribe button, turn on those post notifications. We're right around 1,500 subs away from hitting 1 million, and just over 50% of viewers watching are not subscribed. So if that's you, I'd love to have you change that. And of course, if you enjoy this video, you find the information helpful, a like rating is always seriously appreciated. I can't thank you guys enough for all the support on the content over the past month or so. Truly do appreciate it. Now, controller aiming is not the only thing seeing some specific updates here. There's also been some back and forth with some other developers here at Battlefield about general aiming here. This clip was posted with the description of basically after doing a perfect 360 with a Kovacs tool and having zero error in momentum, the aim is still way off when you start shooting. This needs to be fixed immediately and should be a high priority. There's a little video here showing that when you are going in a perfect circle, there is some weird things going on with aim. It's not fully consistent every single time, so your input again could feel very weird when you start aiming and firing at the same time, basically. So there is something strange going on there, and it was said hopefully this and quite a few other things get addressed in this patch that's coming. Still shocked that season 1 didn't bring these changes, which again they conveyed really poorly, that hey, we've got all these changes in season 1, but only like a third of them actually ended up going live, and the rest we're still waiting on for this next major update. Most important thing is they need to address the problem. One of the developers need to reply like, hey, we're looking into it. Florian, one of the developers, says, hey, we're looking into it here. I don't think it's a bug that we're looking at, though. Specifically, recoil essentially is added to your aim input, so if you move your aim against the recoil, it's going to feel more sluggish. If you move your aim with the recoil, it's going to accelerate it here. So it's not necessarily a full bug that's going on in this clip here where you're not ending up at the same spot when you're doing a perfect 360. It's the recoil being factored in and potentially any push or pull that's going into that as well. Florian does continue and says, you may prefer that it doesn't do that, which is something we are actually evaluating, as it would change how recoil feels for a lot of people that may actually be fine with just how it works and they're used. That's a muscle memory thing. They're used to it, right? Then also Dash responded, said, not only will this be a net positive, but to make the rapidly growing REDSEC even more enjoyable, tracking would feel amazing. Florian says, yeah, we'll keep looking at it. The team is already investigating this. So good news here when it comes to how recoil actually affects aim, whether you're turning, you're looking at what the push and pull is like there and what that's doing to your overall snappiness and everything going on there with your tracking. So good news there as well, that we could actually see some more smooth updates introduced to combat some of the clunkiness and some of the strange behavior going on with this. Now, this isn't as much of a specific aim update as some of these other things we've previously covered, but I figured we'd talk about this as well because it's going to throw off your aim for sure. There is a bug going on right now where at times your scope might end up getting a little bit weird. You can see this person's scope is changing between being a thermal scope and a standard like red dot, a reflex sight. Really strange situation going on there. There's also a different bug where part of your screen can look like it's a sniper scope basically, and there's like the outside line there at times, which is really odd as well. I've had this show up a few times, and this was also confirmed that these bugs are going to be getting fixed quite soon. Now, obviously, through all these replies that we've seen from these devs so far, it's hey, this update's coming shortly, this update's coming soon. This entire week, almost every single day so far, I've actually posted a video talking about devs revealing upcoming changes, confirming fixes, all of them saying, hey, this is coming very shortly, this is coming in the near future. Well, that's not really specific. The near future could be a day. It could be later that day that a tweet was posted. Obviously, it wasn't. It could be, 2 weeks, depending on what their view of near or soon or shortly is. Well, it's actually now been leaked when the next major update is supposed to drop for Battlefield 6. So one Battlefield ends up posting here exclusive, the next patch is on November 11th at 9 o'clock UTC. So this will be like the middle of the night for North America here basically. But November 11th, which is early next week, is apparently when the next major update is going to hit. This is presumably going to be a title update for the game that includes a ton of fixes. That's not to say that we couldn't see, hotfix or server side updates go live later today, early tomorrow, potentially over the weekend, to fix various different things like they've already been doing with some of the challenge updates that we covered with those patch notes earlier on this week. Some of the minor things like that, temporarily disabling the redeploy beacon in some of the small map modes like King of the Hill, Domination, etc. Stuff like that absolutely could change. So we might see several of those like little server side updates go out, but it does seem like the next major update is coming early next week on the 11th, and that's when I'd expect a lot of these updates to take place. Some of the things that we've been covering in the past few days, like the drone glitch with the sledgehammer, various other exploits going on, the aiming updates, the controller updates, the keyboard and mouse updates here that we just discussed. That'll be when a lot of this ends up getting addressed, so we'll have to look out for that here early next week. Obviously, as I mentioned, if anything else ends up surfacing, we get more confirmations directly from the devs, we actually see some surprise updates go out. I'll be keeping you guys informed with all the need to know info right as it surfaces, so feel free to hit that subscribe button to stay in the know for that and everything else going on in Battlefield. And of course, if you enjoyed this video, hit that like button on your way out. But that's gonna wrap things up once again. Thank you so much for tuning in, and until next time, take it easy. Have an awesome rest of your day, and I'll catch you later. Peace out.